it's my pleasure to be able to talk to you today about the early warning signs of relapse. Addiction is a chronic, progressive, and fatal disease, and the chronic nature of addiction really requires us to be in recovery for the rest of our lives. The first sign that I'd like to talk about is believing that you're cured. After having some abstinence for a period of time, often we'll forget about how bad things were in our addiction, and we'll start to believe that it'll be safe to pick up a drink or to use again, and that it isn't a disease that once one drink is picked up, a phenomenon of craving is kicked off, that eventually leads us back to the same bottom, if not worse. The next sign that I'd like to talk about is failing to ask for help. Long-term addiction recovery requires us to be in constant consultation with others. Because of the mental aspect of the disease, oftentimes our thinking is skewed, and we need others to check us on that. The third aspect that I'd like to talk about is the glorification of drug use. Because addiction is in part a memory disease, we'll forget about the awful times when we were drinking and using and only remember the times that were pleasurable. And of course they were there also. None of us would have continued if the first time we drank, we led us to our bottom immediately. The next sign that I'd like to talk about is experiencing social disconnect. Because as addicts, we have a hard time connecting socially, and oftentimes our social connections revolved around alcohol use or drug use. Re-engaging socially sober can be very difficult and require a lot of effort. After a while, some of us may want to give up on that effort and tend to isolate and cut ourselves off. This is very unhealthy and should be intervened on immediately. The next sign that we'd like to talk about is excusing unhealthy behavior. Even though we're abstinent from drugs and alcohol, other behaviors that aren't exactly healthy might take their place. We may tend to overwork, get obsessed about a love interest, or even start spending in an addictive manner. The next warning sign would be increased levels of stress and anxiety. It actually dovetails off of the previous one. If we are still engaging in some unhealthy behaviors, our anxiety and stress is going to increase. And we may not be monitoring that effectively and intervening on that in a healthy way. The last warning sign that I'd like to talk about is living pessimistically. This could be negative forecasting, or what we call fortune telling sometimes. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if we believe that we're going to fail, odds are we will. Developing a healthy and optimistic projection of the future, while still staying in touch with the real challenges that lie ahead of us, is a great way to live a healthy life. Focusing too much on negative outcomes may actually manifest them.